So today we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of what it cost to get into Modle Railway. Something you don't very often see a video on. So let's get to it. Welcome to Man Cave on Trains. Here we go. Well, hello there and welcome back. Welcome to Man Cave on Trains. Now, before we get started on this, we'll do a little brief look at our layout and I will explain what this is. This is really a N-gauge or model railway for beginners video. What we're going to do is I'm going to tell you about this layout, what it is, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what it actually cost. Is it expensive? Do it have to be expensive? Well, let's stop this train here and see. There we go. That one's now stopped. Let's stop the back one as well. He stopped as well. Right, here we go. This is N-gauge. Smaller than HO or OO gauge. Bigger than Z and T gauge. So yeah, N-gauge is a nice size if you haven't got a lot of room. This layout here, from there to that end, is 7 feet. And width-wise, I think it's just under 3 feet. About 2'10", I think. So this is basically the size of my layout. It is DC control, so we use an old-fashioned controller like this. DCC is digital command control, which is where you have a constant 16 volts go into your track. And each of your locomotives have got a little computer chip in them which recognises a signal from a digital command unit you've got. And each train is assigned a number. So you can have 2 or 3 trains on the same track, basically. Where with DC, you can't very easy, not without putting a lot of insulation in your points and stuff like that. So, no, this is old-fashioned DC. All this basically is regulates voltage from 1 or about 13 volts into your track. The more volts, the faster your train go. This is how they did it years ago. It's how they did it for years, and it's how I still do it. I'll be honest, because having such a simple layout as this, as having a bottom track and a top track, which are independent of each other. This one controls the bottom track, this one controls the top track. And one train can't go from top to bottom. So it's basically two layouts in one. And the bottom one you can see, I've done that with English locomotives. The top one I've equipped with American stuff, because I do like English and American trains. So let's get into the cost of this. What exactly is involved in building a model railway? Do you need the patience of a saint? Has it took me 2 or 3 years to build this? No, it hasn't. I don't have the patience of a saint. In fact, I built this from scratch, basically in 14 days. The only thing I've done outside of that 14 days is I've added that little mining tower there. I've added this building, this building, this building, and these 2 buildings. That's basically all. Everything else, the grass, the trees, the track line, the trains, the cliffs, I did the whole lot in 14 days. And that weren't continuous, that was just evenings after work. This all started off with a kitchen table, which I got off Facebook for a £5. You can see where the original layout came to. I did extend it about 3 months later and put that end bit on. So actually, I tell a lie, in 14 days my layout was 5 foot by 2'10", because it originally only came here. So, where are we? Basically everything you see here I did in 14 days. This bit I did add on about 6 months later. So, what is involved in N-gauge model railway? It's not as cheap as it used to be. I think a lot of it's down to COVID and the pandemic. A lot of the time before then, you could get railway stock and railway stuff actually reasonably cheap. Let me get this camera in a tripod. Hang on a second. What is this engine? This is a Graham Farish Class 37 English locomotive. It was the powerhouse of sort of, you know, passenger and freight trains through the 60s, 70s, 80s and into the 90s. Until a couple of years ago, they were still using these here in Norfolk on the Norwich to Great Yarmouth line to tow passengers. But now I'm afraid, very sorry to say, because I love these trains. They have got a really distinctive sound from a 1,600 horsepower two-stroke diesel, which sounds fantastic. But no, unfortunately, they've gone. Anyhow, we're not talking about the real-life trains. We're talking about the N-gauge. So what's the cost involved? What has it cost me to do this train? Well, if you buy everything new, it's not going to be terrifically cheap. But with me, I did everything here. I bought everything second hand. And I mean everything. Apart from, the only thing I didn't buy second hand was stuff like the grass, the trees, and bits and pieces. But all the buildings, the locomotives, the rolling stock, the track, the controller, everything I got second hand. So what did it cost me? Well, this track, the complete lot of track, which was in very good condition. It didn't have no glue on it. It was in really nice used condition. I bought 2 lots and combined the track cost me £120. It's not Pico track, it's German Fleshman track, which comes pre-ballasted. Let me show you what that means. What that basically means is, here's a piece of track. It comes with the stone ballast already around the outside of it. And a lot of tracks don't. You actually have to fill all the sleepers in with stone ballast yourself. Now, for ease and the fact that I wanted to use Fleshman track because it's German, and in my opinion it's the best track you can get, far better than Pico, it's very reliable. Yeah, that's basically what a ballasted track looked like. That is just a radius curve we have here, and we have a radius turn in. These are your points. Note, you can see this one is fitted with points motor, so when you move the little latch across, it actually moves the track. See that? And that's how you divert one train to the other. You just connect this up to a power supply and a switch. I don't have them fitted on here. Without the point motors, you just get these little things. That little knob there. I'll just push that manually and it'll just move the track. See the track moving across here? If I have it here, my train will then go up this track here, up this siding here. And if I have it here, the train will carry on down this way. Like so. So this train will carry on around there. What did it cost? I say £120 for my track. I think if you shopped around, you could get it cheaper, but that's what I paid for this. The locomotives, I'm afraid, are quite expensive, no matter how you look at it. This one I got as a Graham Farish. It was 20 years old when I got it, but it had never been ran, so it was brand new in its box, and a collector had bought it and he'd only ever put it on display. He didn't even have a train layout. He just collected the locomotives, kept them in a box and a display cabinet. So although this was 20 years old, it had never been out of its box. The box was still sealed up with its factory cellophane. I had to pay £100 for that train. Just this little locomotive. I know it's a lot of money, but that's, I'm afraid, what you have to pay for them. My American locomotive, let's bring him round. We'll see if we can get him around here. American stuff in the UK is considerably cheaper, because a lot of model railway people in the UK, they prefer to use English stuff. Whoops, we've backed him up. We've got to back him up a bit. There we go. This locomotive here, which is actually, in my opinion, a better locomotive, because this has directional lighting. So when you turn it on, you have the cab lights up. So when that's running, it's actually lit up around the cab. This was under half the price of this Class 37, believe it or not. Because like I say, in the UK, people would rather have the English stuff than they would the American stuff. So this one here, £100. This one I got off eBay for £30. And they were both perfect running trains. Again, second hand. What else have we spent on this? Let's start off with the scenery. Scenery is very, very cheap. The trees, for argument's sake. These trees, I think I got 10 of these trees. They come from China, so they took about a month to get here. But if you want perfect scale replicas, they're not ideal. But they're good enough for my basic little layout. These trees, I think they were £10 for about 15. Brand new, very cheap. These smaller trees here, they're even cheaper. They're £10 for about 20 of them. And it goes the same with most of the trees. Your trees are very cheap. The buildings. Right, as you can see, this building I've got over here, this one, I put the lights in that myself. There is a video on the channel of how I put the lights in that. So it come unlit up. It's plastic, it's not cardboard. And I think I give £5 for that. Again, off eBay. Same goes for the little church. Where's my little church? We'll see him somewhere. There he is. There's my little church. Again, I think I paid £5 for that. One of the dearest things I had to buy was the coal mining wheel, which again was used. Can you see that? I'm trying to get it to focus. There we go. Our mining wheel, which is there. I'm afraid that whole thing I had to pay £50 for second hand. These other buildings, excuse my zooming in and out skills. These buildings, I think I got this one, and a couple of other small buildings. There's a couple of little station sheds scattered about. I think I got about these two and about 3 other small buildings for about £20. This, that is a little Class 08 shunter, and isn't it tiny? Full working model. Again, this is a Graham Farish, and I had to pay £50 for this one. Again, it came in its box. I know when you work out, oh, there's a lot of £50 adding up here to a lot of money. What else have we got? Things like rocks. The rocks I've got up the end there, they're actually made of plaster in Paris, and they come in a bare white, and you paint them yourself, which I did with acrylic paint. I got that whole box of rocks in plaster in Paris. I think there was 8 rocks, which they're all on this layout, and I think they was £12. So if you totten all this up, you'll see what it costs to set up Model Railway. This layer, that's basically a sheet of 3-ply. I bought a 8x4 sheet of 3-ply from Wix's, which I did have to get brand new, and I just cut out the section I wanted with a jigsaw. I made a paper template out of wallpaper, laid it over the sheet of ply, drew round it, cut it out with a jigsaw, bonded the track down. And these are very easy to get laid down. I basically covered this table in blue styrofoam. That thickness there is, as you can see, you can mark it. It's thin you know, I think that's what, 30mm, I think, styrofoam. And you basically, I brushed that in green acrylic paint, and while the paint was wet, I scattered on the grass, which you basically buy in a bag. And I put it through, I put it in a sieve, shake on, it sticks to the wet paint and stays there. The ballast, yes, there's the ballast, which is basically this grey stone. That's also stuck down by brushing on watered down PVA glue, and then just tipping this stuff over the top of it. Let that dry, and that's basically held that down, then just hoover off the excess afterwards. One of the most expensive parts of railway modelling for me is buying your rolling stock. It's surprising how much this little lot amount up to. If I move this to find, there we go. Because I wanted to build this as a replica of the local sand train that used to come through my local town when I was a kid. It was actually this train pulling these exact wagons, and I remember it as a kid. Now I wanted to find these wagons. Let me take this end one off. There we have British Industrial Stands, a little closed-in wagon. These are also made by Graham Farish, and these are quite hard to come by. You obviously can't buy them new anymore, and when people sell them second hand, they tend to realise the people that want them are willing to pay for them. They are extremely lightweight, they're just plastic, there's no quality to them whatsoever, yet you can expect to pay anywhere between £10 and £20 each for these, which makes no sense to me because you can buy a cast iron Hot Wheels car for £1. These, really basic, just lightweight plastic with little metal wheels, there's nothing to them, yet they can be £10 to £20 each. Some people are even asking £25 each for these. Unbelievable. The American rolling stock, again, it's cheaper in the UK because not so many people want it. That's why I've got a lot of American rolling stock, because it's so much cheaper than the English stuff. These ones, a guy had them on eBay and I paid £3 each for these. He had £3 each plus £3 postage. I messaged him and I said, you've got quite a few containers or, rolling stock on eBay I'd like. Would you combine postage? Yes, he says. And I think I bought quite a few of these. I think I got the Peabody ones, the Cabooses, the Union Pacific, the Western Maryland. I think I got all of these for the £3 each. And I think he combined the postage up to about £6. Same with all these tankers. By the way, all this American stuff is made by Atlas. Again, all these tankers. Some are missing the ladders on the top. See, they're meant to have a ladder there. That one's got the ladder missing. Most of them have got the ladders. Some have got the sort of ladders and top turrets missing. It really didn't bother me. They still look good. And again, I think I got them off the same guy for about £3 each. But again, a lot of people will ask £10, £12, £15 each for these if they're boxed. Most of these come boxed, but not all of them. That basically is what it cost for Model Railway. So I actually paid £5 for the table off Facebook Marketplace, which is a metal-legged table. So we've got nice strong metal legs here. And that's nice thick table. Good 2 inches thick. Just stuck down the styrofoam with some, don't use spray glue, it eats into the styrofoam. I use no nails. A couple of tubs of no nails, squirt it over, brushed on, stick this down. Excellent stuff. And it took me 14 days to build all this, which I was quite happy with. I had a run and train within 4 days. So within 4 days I'd bonded this to the table. I'd painted it with the base green. I'd laid the track down, which is basically held down with little tiny track pins which just stick into the styrofoam. So if it ever wants to come up again, it'll come up quite easily. And around the edges I did pour PVA to hold the ballast down, which also holds the track down. But this track could be easily removed. That basically is all there is to N-Gage and what the cost of it is. The street lights. We nearly forgotten the street lights, didn't we? Let me show you the street lights. Here basically are our street lights. Tiny. And look at the thickness of the wire on them. This wire is minuscule. It is like fuse wire, so thin. These street lights, again, LED, they come from China, and they were also extremely cheap, under £10 for 20 of them. So extremely cheap. But you just connect 12 volts to them, obviously with a resistor, if not they'll blow, but connect 12 volts to them and they'll light up. And here is one lit up. And I've got several of these darted about. If you look over the back, you'll see several of them. And there they are. There's all my lights. And I adjust them by running them on a separate controller. I have a separate 12 volt controller I can use for my lights. You're going to say, what about these lights I can see in this tunnel lighting up? Your tunnel over the back there, you can brighten or darken it down to where you want. Well, basically that is that long ribbon strip of LED light you can get on a roll, again off eBay. Comes on a roll and it's just a strip of LEDs. And it's basically stuck to the underside of that tunnel, the roof. It's stuck there. The tape what come with the lights didn't do it, so I used an Evo stick contact adhesive. And that's just running on this little controller. This is the controller I use for my lights. This one here. Another old-fashioned controller. We haven't gone on to the price of the controller. This is an old-fashioned controller, probably 1970s, 1980s. But it's an H&M. It's a very, very good make. And these are so reliable. It's unbelievable. Forget all the switches on them. That looks complex. It really isn't. You basically set them switches and you leave them. All you want to do is this one to go backwards, that way to go forwards. This is bottom track. This is top track. Off your trains go. What else is there to look at? The big rock along the back, which I carved out with a knife. That's made out of 80mm polystyrene that I got free off Facebook Marketplace. Someone had a sheet left over from a building project. It was in my local town, so I just went and picked it up, sliced it off to the length I wanted, carved it out with a bread knife, and I just painted it with white acrylic paint. And then while it was wet, put some black over it, put some brown in it, and it basically turned it into this rock colour, which again I'm happy with. I think that's about it really. There's nothing else to say. I mean, we're talking about basically the cost of this. This also is made out of the same polystyrene. You can actually see the join in there, which looks like a natural fissure in the rock, so I'm not going to bother with that. A couple of little details. The rock climbers. These are tiny little N-gauge people, and look how small they are. Not even as wide as my finger. These are tiny little men. Things like the little rock climbers, they will set you back about £10 again for a set of them. And what I've used there for their guide ropes is the thinnest red cotton I could find. I have some more N-gauge people here. Let's see if we can get in on them. Where are they? There they are. There's some little N-gauge workmen there. There's an N-gauge workman up on that coal mining tower. And I think scattered around here there's a couple more N-gauge people as well. But I can't... Oh, there's another little man there. Whoop. There's another little man standing right there somewhere. Where is he? There he be, behind that little 08 shunter. Look, he's watching him go in there. Them little men again, I think they were about £15, brand new, boxed. That's it. So you've got basically, sorry this is a bit boring and all talk, but I'm sure some of you are wondering, what does it cost to get into Modle Railway? Is it expensive? Is it going to take me 2 or 3 years to do it? Have I got the patience? Is it complicated? No. To me, building it was more fun than running it. I absolutely loved building this thing. Not because it took hours and hours, because I wanted to create my own little world. Basically, I just wanted to create my own unique little setup of what I think is, oops, squeaky tripod, what I think's pretty good. There we go. And that basically is all there is to Modle Railway. There are the little bits. There are little bits I bought which I've probably forgotten, like these little flowers there, which come in little packs. You just flick them off again under a fibre. I mean, for 20 or 30 of them. You'll see them here as well, look. These are basically little blobs of silicone what someone's gone and daubed on to look like plants. And they're self-adhesive on the back, and you just stick them on. That's all there is to it, really. So yeah, your dearest part by far is your rolling stock. You can easily expect to pay, like I say, anywhere between sort of, you know, £10 and £20 each for a carriage. But the American stuff in the UK is cheaper, which I'm sure in America, the UK stuff would be cheaper. But there we have it. So that is Engage and what it costs to get set up. I'll give you plenty of figures there. So if you tot all them up, you'll probably see what this has ended up costing me. I haven't worked it out because I don't want to faint, because I have a feeling it's going to work out to a bit more than I actually think. But yeah. Right, I'm going to go, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry it's a bit talky and a bit long, but I hope it's informative to someone who's thinking of starting Engage Modle Railway. Right, I shall see you another time. Bye bye for now. Ha ha!